Namaste, my name is Mikara Maharaj, and I am honored to be your program director for today's episode. On behalf of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre at the Consulate General of India in Durban, South Africa, we welcome you to today's 7th episode of Yoga Charcha, a discussion on yoga and a series of interactions with experts on yoga. I would like to welcome our guests today. In the discussion, we have Dr. Chaitanya Prakash, Mr. Kamal Maharaj, Ms. Ayanda Moniwa, Ms. Paula Martini, Mr. Sapiwe Nkunu, and Mr. Piyush Kandarwal. Namaste and welcome, everyone. To commence our program, I will hand you over to Mr. Kamal Maharaj, who is an educator, founder, and CEO of Vishwashakti. Namaste and welcome, Mr. Maharaj.
Namaste, Vanakam, Namaskaram, Saubona. It gives me great pleasure once again to be amongst the very, very awesome and learned Yoga Charcha team. The premise that world peace needs to be fought on the battlefield is actually an incorrect way forward. In fact, world peace starts from within the self. In order to be able to achieve that, one of the very important methods I would definitely suggest is yoga. Yoga can assist people to create peace within themselves and slowly create peace in their environments. Yoga comes as a powerful force to heal our differences at a time in our world where there is so much attention on division and conflicts, at a time in when our society places much focus on how different we are in terms of race, color, creed. Yoga is an opportunity to experience and celebrate the fact that we all belong to one race, the race of humanity. As has often been quoted, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, at the Vedic injunction that the world is one family. One should remember our internal state has a significant influence on the external world that we live in. If we create peace in our own bodies and minds, the world becomes more peaceful. In the course of these inquiries, we find that the person who is peaceful does not create conflict and difficulty. For example, when there is fear and self-doubt and one is upset, the entire being, the physical being, for example, the digestive system, can lead to many disorders. Anger creates imbalances in the digestive fire, which can lead to heartburn, ulcers, and liver disease. Now, when we are struggling with our own bodies, can you imagine the disturbance that this will cause in our mind, which unconsciously creates the habit of being in a very strong emotional state, whereby we react rather than becoming proactive, we react to everything that happens around us. So for harmony and peace, probably a good starting point is yogasanas. And today it gives me great pleasure to introduce our yoga teacher, Ayanda Moniwa. I cannot say how thrilled we are to have her amongst us. She is going to take us through the journey of her yoga experience and also demonstrate a few yogasanas. Thank you so much and welcome once again.
Thank you for those opening remarks, Mr. Kamal Maharaj. Continuing with today's program, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Ayanda Moniwa, who is a yoga teacher from London, now living in KZN. Ms. Moniwa started her journey with yoga 6 years ago after being diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and she fell in love with the whole philosophy of yoga. Miss Ayanda Moniwa will be interacting with Miss Paula Martini, who is a yoga practitioner herself. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of Yoga Charcha. Ayanda ji and Paula ji, namaste and welcome.
Namaste, and thank you so much for the opportunity again this evening to interact and have discussions on yoga. So we'll start off with the very first question, and that is, how do you understand and define yoga?
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for having me here today. So for me, yoga relates to not only the union between like mind, body, spirit. Obviously, yoga translated is to unite from Sanskrit. But to me, it's also a practice that enables us to understand the individual self and universal consciousness is very much connected. Like everything is connected, and our thoughts, our actions, our emotions, everything is linked. Yoga is stillness. It is freedom. It is a balance and awareness, and yeah, it's just, for me, it's a practice of being here now and truly surrendering to what that means, and not forcing.
Lovely, very good explanation. Thank you. And how did you get connected with yoga? We heard a bit about in your introduction, but maybe you can tell us a little bit more.
So yoga has completely changed my life. Sometimes when I tell people that it has literally been a lifesaver for me, they kind of like give me funny looks, but it has like saved my life. So when I was 21, so about 6 to 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease where the body starts to attack its own like cells basically, and it causes pain and inflammation in the joints. And coming from I was a dancer, so coming from like a dancer background, I felt so lost, and so I felt like my world had ended, being as dramatic as possible that young. And then I randomly found this yoga video on YouTube, and I started to do it, even though I didn't really it didn't quite resonate with me yet. But the more that I just kept doing this video, I realized that I wasn't staying in bed, for days at a time. Like, even though the pain and the flare-ups were there, I was able to not be in my head so much and not kind of think sort of like negatively. Like, I was proud of myself for even, getting up and getting on the mat. And it's been such a beautiful journey. And as I continued on that journey, I was introduced to Ayurveda. So now I implement little parts of that into my daily life, like having ginger tea, which helps with inflammation and those kind of things. Then I added meditation, and I've just noticed that without it, I feel like something is missing. It has allowed me to not only be more mobile, but to just be okay with the circumstances and be okay with having this for, the rest of my life possibly. And it has also decreased the flare-ups of the rheumatoid arthritis. And that's just like a constant practice.
Wow. That's amazing. And do you feel any difference in your own life due to the practice of yoga? What differences are you having now?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, not only has it allowed me to physically be more mobile, I can do things I never thought I'd be able to do, like hold downward dog for more than a couple of seconds because of the pain at my wrist. But it has also, the main thing that I think yoga has taught me is the importance of surrendering, the importance of not forcing. If I have a flare up and my practice that day looks like lying in Shavasana and just focusing on the breath and kind of having that stillness and having that awareness, that is what my practice will be. It's about like listening to my body. Like I feel so in tune with my body, and I don't push it. And that is what yoga, like the main difference that it has taught me to trust. And obviously it has liberated me in the sense of the flare-ups just aren't, as consistent as they were. So I feel like, basically like fine, most of the time.
Yes,
when I don't, it's like, cool.
You can get back to normal activities again.
Exactly.
Oh, excellent. And do you have any specific style or school of yoga?
So my favorite style of yoga is Hatha. That is the one that I was introduced to first, and that is the one that I did my first yoga teacher training in. And I just kind of love the slow, like intentional, like style, and also the way that it connects the breath as well as the movement. Like you're not rushing, you are again listening to your body, you are staying in the pose, trying to relax in the pose, be comfortable in the pose. And it kind of almost feel like meditative for me when I do Hatha. It's just kind of like, yeah, my body knows what it's doing. But I also recently did a Vinyasa yoga teacher training, which is to me like the opposite. It's very fluid. It's, you flow through each asana by using your breath. It's kind of like almost like a dance, I like to say, because it's very like you're like, moving. So yeah, when I teach now, I like to incorporate both styles, even sometimes in one class. So maybe I'll start off with like Vinyasa, which is like very flowy, and then before the cool down, add in some like Hatha, sort of like more intentional, just to like ground ourselves before the end of the practice. But I do really, really love Hatha. Like that is my favorite.
Lovely combination.
Yeah.
And do you feel that yoga is not only a physical exercise or a scheduled activity, but is an integrated approach and understanding to live life fully in its entirety?
Absolutely. To me, yoga is not just about the asana. I feel like the asana is actually, or like the physical postures, is a very small aspect of yoga. It is a way of living. It encompasses pranayama, which is the control of breath, or the prana, which is the life force energy, which exists in all. It's also meditation, which is a practice which facilitates stillness in the mind. It is like truthfulness. It is, learning moderation, learning non-violence, self-discipline. There's just so much more than just the asana, even though obviously that is very helpful and that has like great benefits. But I think once you really dig deep, the asana is actually a very small part of it. And I think even in Hatha, like originally, it was just breathing. Like they didn't actually have like physical asanas until a bit later on, when they first introduced like Hatha to I think like the Brahmins in the temples. So yeah, it's like a very small part of what yoga is to me.
Yes, it's an entire practice in its entirety. Absolutely. And do you feel that yoga is an art and science which gives us a sense of affinity and connectedness with the entire universe?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I definitely think yoga is an art. So for me, art is about expression, it's about freedom, it is subjective, so influenced by personal feelings and experiences. And that has what yoga has been for me. It's a very like personal experience. When I get on the mat, I'm listening to my body, I'm doing what I want to do. It allows me to just really dig deep within myself, and that is what art is to me. You can learn so much about yourself on the mat. Like you are given that opportunity to do that, and yeah, it's a beautiful way of keeping you like present, and yeah, the presence sort of increases connection not only to yourself but to everything else, like I said earlier. So yeah, I definitely agree with that statement. Yeah.
Wonderful. And do you feel that yoga represents universal energy or universal love and compassion?
I think it's a bit of both, actually, because it represents universal energy, because in the natural world, you know, there's a field of energy like that encompasses everything, which it can also, be understood as like prana, which is like the life force energy. And, you know, when you are in a yoga class and you're doing pranayama, you are trying to like balance the prana within the body so that you not only get rid of like any blockages, but you can move better, you can get into like each asana better, but also it's also universal love and compassion, in the sense of when you get on the mat and you kind of like see the progress that you make, you kind of give yourself that self-love, and ultimately self-love is also universal love because of the connection of self and the universe. So I think, yeah, it's both, personally.
Yes, and we all are one at the end of the day. So I think when we're in that practice and we have that connectedness, it does definitely affect the whole.
Absolutely.
And would you kindly suggest some simple asanas for our audience and viewers today?
And I will be guiding you through some very simple yoga poses that are really good if you suffer from any joint pain or joint discomfort. I personally have rheumatoid arthritis, and I have found that adding some of these poses to the start or at the end of my day, it has really helped with that discomfort within myself. So I hope that you find this video enjoyable. Thank you so much for watching. So to begin, we will start in a nice grounding standing pose, Tadasana or mountain. And here you can either have your legs about hip distance apart, or you can bring them closer together so that the big toes are touching and the heels are slightly apart. And then once you arrive here, you're just going to lift up your toes and then one by one slowly place them on the ground, and just notice the connection that your feet are making with the earth at this moment. And then from here, you're just going to make sure that you tuck your tailbone in ever so slightly so that your bum is not sticking out. You're making sure that your knees are not locking and that your shoulders are relaxed down the body. Your hands are going to be either side of the body, palms facing forward, and then your neck is going to be slightly tucked into the chin in a slight jala band. And then when you are here, you can just gently close your eyes, taking a few moments just to arrive into the space, arrive onto the mat, bringing the awareness to the breath. Taking nice deep inhales through the nose, and then exhaling it all out slowly and with control out of the nose. Couple more deep breaths here. Inhale through the nose, and then maybe you can open the mouth and sigh it all out. Inhale through the nose, and then we're just going to hold the breath here. Hold, hold, and then opening the mouth and exhaling it all out. 2 more just like that. Inhale through the nose, and then hold the breath here. Hold, hold, and then opening the mouth and sighing it all out. Inhale through the nose, and then hold, 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 and then opening the mouth and sighing it all out. And then just slowly bringing the awareness back to the breath, bringing the breath to a natural rhythm, feeling how your body feels in this moment. Just relaxing. And then from here you can just gently open your eyes and then just mentally prepare yourselves for our ankle and wrist rotations. So releasing the hands down to either side of the body, you're just going to shift your weight over to the left hand side, and then you're just going to lift the right leg off of the ground and then just do some very simple ankle rotations, maybe doing about 5 or 7 on one side at your own pace, going as fast or as slow as you need. And then whenever you come to that last round, just changing the direction to the opposite side. Again, just listening to your body, moving as fast or as slow as you need. And then whenever you come to that last round, just releasing the right foot back down onto the ground, shifting the weight over to the right side, and we're going to do the same thing with the left ankle. So lifting the left ankle and foot off the ground, you're just going to start by rotating one side, going as fast or as slow as you want, taking your time, doing about 5 or 6 rounds, whatever you need today. And then whenever you come to the last round, you're just going to change directions. And just rotating that ankle joint. Beautiful. And then coming down to a neutral position, you might want to pedal the knees out just to release any tension that may have built up then. And then we're going to move on to our wrist rotations. So bringing the right arm forward, up in front of you, you're just going to rotate at the wrist joint, going one direction, doing 5 or 7 rounds of these. Going as fast or as slow as you need. Beautiful. And then whenever you come to that last round, just changing directions, moving at your own pace, staying as long or as little as you want in each movement. Beautiful. And then release that right arm, and we're going to do the same thing with the left wrist. So bringing the left arm up above you, up in front of you, sorry. And then we're just going to rotate the wrist to one side, doing about 5 to 7 rounds. And then whenever you come to that last round, just changing directions, moving the other way, going as fast and slow as you need. Beautiful. And then releasing on to some standing side bends. So again, just bringing your feet either hip distance apart or a little bit closer together, whatever is comfortable for you. You're just going to lift the right arm up above your head as you inhale, stretch, 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 stretch. And then as you exhale, you're going to bend that torso over to the left-hand side of the body. Your left arm is going to be nice and close to the body, and just really feel that opening and that stretch on the right rib cage and on the right side of the body. Remembering to relax the shoulders. And then we're only here for 2 more breaths, taking a deep inhale. And then as you exhale, maybe imagining that you're going deeper over to that left side. 1 more breath, inhale. And exhale. Then you're going to inhale, lifting the arm up, and then as you exhale, bringing that right arm closer to the body. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side of the body. So taking a nice deep inhale to begin and exhaling it all out. Then you're going to take a nice deep inhale and lifting that left arm up above the head, stretching, 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 and then as you exhale, you're going to bend the torso over to the right side, really feeling that beautiful opening over on the right rib cage and the right side of the body, on the left side of the body, sorry. And then when you're here, you're just going to focus on your breathing again, making sure that you're engaging the core muscles, you're tucking the tailbone in, just taking nice deep inhales and exhales. We're here for 2 more breaths. Inhale. Then as you exhale, maybe imagining that you're sinking even deeper over to that right side. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. And then inhale, lift up. And then exhale, just release that left arm all the way down. And now we are going to move on to our forward fold. And again, just keeping the feet exactly where they are, whatever's comfortable for you, whether that is hip distance or a little bit closer. With my forward folds, I like to keep my legs about hip distance apart. And to begin, you're just going to inhale and circle your arms above your head, palms facing each other. You're going to stretch, 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 stretch up. And then as you exhale, you're going, keeping your back nice and straight, you're just going to fold forward from the hip joints, taking your time here, going as fast or as slow as you need, just making sure that you are folding forward from your hip joints. And then you can either rest your fingers on your toes or by the side of your feet or your ankles or your shin, whatever is comfortable for you. And while you're here as well, you can maybe just bend the knees ever so slightly just to allow yourself to fold even deeper, making sure that there is no tension in the neck, the shoulders are nice and relaxed, and the head is hanging nice and freely. And then while you're here, you can even grab the elbows with your fingers and just hang like a rag doll. Maybe going from side to side, releasing any tension that you may feel in your spine. And this is a really lovely, relaxing pose, so we'll be here for a couple of breaths, just hanging, surrendering to the earth, surrendering to what is. Just bringing the awareness back to the breath. We're here for 2 more breaths. Just inhale and exhale, relaxing even more. Inhale and exhale, relax. Beautiful. And then you can just release your fingertips or your fingers down onto the mat. And then keeping the knees slightly bent, you're just going to slowly roll up, moving very slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae of the spine, keeping that chin tucked into the chest, just rolling all the way up until the chin is the last thing and the head is the last thing to lift up, and you're back to a nice standing position. Beautiful. And then from here, you are going to meet me down on the mat. Me on your mat, we are going to start our cat and cow sequence. And I really like the cat and cow sequence because it just kind of loosens up your spine and releases any tension that may have built up in the spine as you were sleeping or after you've been to work or just going about your everyday life. So I really do enjoy this particular sequence the most. So we are going to start in tabletop position. So all fours, making sure that your wrist is in alignment with your shoulders and that your knees are in alignment with your hips. The backs of your feet are going to be placed nice and flat on the ground. And if you look between your knees, you shouldn't be able to see your feet. That's when you know that you have good alignment in terms of the back half of your body. So when we're here, we're just going to start in a nice neutral position. And we're just going to take a nice deep inhale and exhaling it all out. And then this time, as you inhale, you're going to drop the belly down, lift the head up, lift the tailbone up, look up to the sky. And then as you exhale, you're going to round that spine, drop the head, and imagine you're looking at your belly button. So again, inhale, drop the belly down, lift the tailbone, lift the head, look up to the sky. And then as you exhale, you're going to round that belly, drop the head, and look at your belly button. And then you're just going to keep this movement going at your own pace, making sure that you're inhaling as you drop the belly and lift the tailbone, and that you're exhaling as you round the belly and drop the head to look at your belly button. So moving at your own pace, we're going to do 5 more rounds of these, going as fast or as slow as you need, listening to your body today. Just moving with the breath, going as fast and as slow as you need. Beautiful, couple more rounds. One more round. And then whenever you're ready, just come and meeting me in a nice neutral tabletop position. You may want to just shake your hips from side to side to release any tension. And then whenever you're ready, just coming and dropping your bum onto your feet, turning the legs over and coming to a nice seated position with your legs out in front of you, just making sure that your tailbone has a nice connection with the earth. So you may want to just remove any flesh just so that you feel the tailbone having the connection with the earth. And then when you're here, we are going to be doing our seated twist. So your toes are going to be pointing up to the sky. Your back is going to be nice and straight and nice and erect, but your shoulders relax. So not holding any tension in your shoulders by lifting them up. And then you're just going to meet me in a nice seated position with our legs out straight in front of us. And you're just making sure that your tailbone has a nice connection with the ground. So that might mean just lifting the flesh up, just making sure that you feel that tailbone on the ground. Your back is going to be nice and straight, shoulders nice and relaxed, no tension in the shoulders or the neck. And then from here, you're just going to bend your left knee, placing that left foot on the ground next to your right knee, or you can even bring that left foot over the right hand side, the right foot, close to the knee as you can. Your left hand is just going to be placed as close to your body behind you. And then as you inhale, you're just going to lift that right arm up above the head, and then just twist over to the left hand side and just hooking or resting that right elbow onto the left knee. And then you can just look over to the left hand side or to the back of the room, just keeping a nice straight back, not collapsing, and just kind of feeling that beautiful twist over the right side of the body. And we're here for 2 breaths. Inhale, and as you exhale, imagining that someone's twisting you over to the left side using your shoulders. Inhale and exhale. And then you're just going to slowly come back to center, release the arms to either side of the body, and then release that left leg down onto the mat. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So again, just making sure that your back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed. You're going to bend that right knee, right foot flat on the ground, and then you can just bring that right foot over the left leg, and then just stay here for one breath. Inhale and exhale. And then as you inhale, you're going to lift that left arm up above the head, fingertips pointing to the top. You're just going to stretch, 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 and then you're just going to twist over to the right side of the body, placing that right hand at the back of your body and just resting or hooking the left elbow onto the right knee. And then you can just look over to the back of the room. Taking a nice deep inhale here. And as you exhale, just imagining that you're twisting even deeper over to the right side, feeling that beautiful stretch on the left side of the body. One more deep breath here. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. And then you're just going to release the head back to center. Release the arms down and the leg down. And then you can just meet me lying on your back. So lying on your back, we are going to move on to Happy Baby. And all we did, the knees, placing the feet flat on the ground. And then you're going to lift the feet off the ground, bringing the knees close to the body, close to the chest. And then you're just going to bringing your hands on the inner parts of your legs, grab your toes in a nice toe lock, and then just as you open up the hips, you're just going to, keeping the knees bent, straighten the feet so that they are flexed and pointing up to the sky. And then as you find a nice comfortable position, you can open up the hips a little bit wider, trying to bring the knees as close to the ground as possible, just staying wherever you need to stay, listening and trusting your body. This is a really lovely hip opener, and I also feel like it's really good for my ankle joints as I am flexing the toes. And we're just going to be here for a couple more breaths. Just inhale and exhale. 2 more, inhale and exhale. 1 more, inhale and exhale. Releasing the toe lock, grabbing your knees, you're just going to bring them close together, and then with the help of your hands, just place your feet back on the ground, nice and flat. And then we're just going to release the feet down into Shavasana, making sure that your feet are nice and floppy, your toes are pointing to the either side of the mat. Your arms are going to be resting at the either side of your body, the palms facing up to the sky, making sure that you're not arching the lower back, you're nice and relaxed. Relax the shoulders. Relax the lower back, relax the rib cage, relax the chest and the neck. Just find complete relaxation in Shavasana, corpse pose. And you can stay here for a few moments and just listen and pay attention to your body and how it feels compared to the start of the practice. Just complete relaxation. Relax. Thank you so much. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Personally, as someone who suffers from joint discomfort, quite regularly. I always find it's best just to listen to your body. There shouldn't be any sharp pain. A little bit of discomfort is good as it strengthens the muscles and strengthens the joints, but there should never be any sharp pain. So please do listen to your body and just trust in what your body needs in that very moment. Thank you again. My soul honors your soul.
Wonderful. And thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so honored that you guys asked me to be a part of this.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ayanda ji and Paula ji, for such an educational and wonderful interaction, and for teaching us that yoga is not just the physical aspect, but rather it's a way of life. And I'm sure our viewers, like myself, are feeling very inspired. Thank you, Ayanda ji, for sharing that a few yoga asanas with us and for sharing your personal story. It means a lot, and it makes a huge difference to those listening and to those who I'm sure share your experience with rheumatoid arthritis. To conclude the 7th episode of Yoga Charcha, I would like to hand you over to Mr. Sipiwe Mchunu from the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre at the Consulate General of India in Durban to pass the vote of thanks.
Namaskar. Greetings to all of you. On behalf of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre at the Consulate General of India in Durban, I am honored today to deliver a vote of thanks on today's 7th episode of the program, Yoga Charcha. This is a series of interaction with the expert on yoga. Allow me to thank our online guest, Mr. Kamal Maharaj, CEO of Vishwashakti, for the wonderful introductory remark that he gave this evening. Secondly, allow me to thank Ms. Ayanda Moniwa, a yoga tutor who had a sterling interaction with Paula Martini-G. Paula Martini-G, she's a yoga practitioner from Durban. To Paula G and Ayanda G, I like to say on behalf of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre, Dhanyavad for such a stirring interaction this evening. Now allow me to thank Ms. Mikara Maharaj, a financial advisor from Old Mutual, for a wonderful welcoming remarks that she gave this evening. To Mikara Ji, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. To Director of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre, Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, Mr. Piyush Kandelwal, I'd like to say thank you very much for taking part on today's program. To all our online participants, I'd like to say Dhanyavad for taking part on today's program. You are kindly advised to visit ICCR Facebook page for all cultural updates in Durban. To Mikaraji, Kamalji, Ayandaji, and Paulaji, Dhanyavad. To all of you, have a wonderful evening. Namaskar.